The limited selectors, both hero and artifact, will be available soon in the global server. For Asia, you guys already have it. But let's take another quick look at what you should pick from the limited selectors. So first up, let's take a look at what isn't going to be available, which is Young Senya, Tori, and Renok, plus their artifacts, as well as Mother of All Shields. One thing is that there are some units that are available in the limited selectors in the Robin shop, but not available in the one we'll be getting in the Zeke event. That's going to be, well, Festivita, but she's down here because she's kind of not worth it, as well as Afternoon Soklon, Frida, and Laya. Those 4 units, plus their artifacts, which is Sweet Miracle, Dreamlike Holiday, Unspotted Mouse Hair Tie, and Magic Bubble Maker, though these 2 are down here because they're not worth it. Those 4 units plus their artifacts are available in the Robin shop selectors only. Just in case you are looking to pick those up, Afternoon Soklon is by far the best choice. It's not even close. Pick up Afternoon Soklon as well as her artifact if you are wailing for her. If you already have her and you want to buy the pack anyways, then I would say Frida is a really good pickup. Frida is really, really nice for cleaving, especially in Arena and Guild War. She is pretty much integral to cleaving in general, whether it's against Harseti, without Harseti. Very, very nice to have. And then if you're picking up Frida, then Sweet Miracle is probably the artifact you want to look for. Sweet Miracle is an insanely flexible artifact, does need plus 30 to have a 100% chance to proc, but this is good on so many warrior units, there's a ton. And then Laya would be the one right after, if you have both of these units as well, or you could start looking at some of the units down here. So with the whale selectors over, let's take a look at the not whale ones, the ones that everybody will be getting in the Catch Sieg event. The best unit to pick is probably Diane, however, she is on banner for a few more days. You probably want to roll her. Just roll her. So we'll not be considering Diane, just keep in mind that she is the best choice from here, in my opinion. And then, here is the reason I have both of these together. It's just because Seaside Bologna, I would say, is probably the best one for newer players. Probably like the easiest one to use. She also has very, very mild PvE usage. Nothing like super important, but she is useful there even if she falls out of favor in PvP. Her PvE usage is just like, it's like Wyvern 13 one-shot, which doesn't really matter. And then you can like, if you go out of your way to do it, you can auto like 1 or 2 bosses in Nightmare Cycle. But I don't think autoing Nightmare Cycle is very useful, except for like one boss that is about the same to clear on manual and auto. So it's like not really worth considering her just for PvE. She is good in PvP right now, is the main thing. But her, you definitely want her personal artifact, Rengar's Special Drink. There's also Landy, who also got buffed recently, who is doing decently. She also wants all Wall of Order, her own personal artifact. The problem is, it's a little bit RNG. This one, it becomes insane at plus 30, honestly, because it's 100% chance to proc. Or Landy anyways. And without plus 30, it's a bit RNG, but she's still a solid choice. There's also Blooming Litica, who is really good, but she is cleave only, and you kind of need the other units to go with her. She also needs her artifact. So these 3 units definitely need their artifact, and these 3 artifacts are only really good with these units. Looking down a little bit, Soul Constellation and Guiding Light are really nice. Just like with these artifacts, artifacts in general kind of need units to hold them. If you don't have the units to use these artifacts, then none of them will really be good. So some of them are used on more units and thus have the potential to be used a little bit more, or a higher chance to be used even if you don't have the units yet. So I like Soul Constellation a lot. It's just nice for Soul Weavers, especially because who knows when Guardian Ice Crystals is ever coming back. If they decide to do more things like this, like MOAS, where they just rerun Guardian Ice Crystals as a different artifact, that would be nice, but for now we don't really know. Soul Constellation goes on a few Soul Weavers. You can use it on a lot of FRS stacking Soul Weavers just for the stats, or also something like Diane for the CR push. So I think this is pretty nice. There's also Guiding Light. Not as strong as it used to be. Like, we don't need 5 anymore. Probably only need like a couple now. Again, you do need the units for this to be good, but definitely worth picking up if you didn't like pick SSB or something. And then we can take a look down here for the units. I'll just go over all of the units and then all of the artifacts. Midnight Lilius is mainly here because she is pretty nice for Nightmare Julie. That's her main PvE usage. You can also use her to one-shot Banshee, but it's just because she does a ton of damage on her S3. None of the other DPSs for Nightmare Julie really come close to her. But definitely worth picking up if you are more of a PvE player. I would say for PvE, Midnight Lilius is way more important than SSB if I had to pick one between the two. There's also Holiday Euphine, who is mostly a counter pick for RTA. Her ability to dodge attacks and then push up, CR push, cleanse and attack buff everybody is pretty nice into units such as Blooming Litica. So she's kind of just like something to round out your hero pool, not really anything to get you started. Fairy Tale Tenebria is also just a pick to go with some other units. You can pick her like 4 or 5 as a book holder into some comps, or with some comps. And then there's also Seaside Etheria, who I think is kind of fun to use. She's one of those units that does need her personal artifact, which is Star of a Deep Sea. And her main issue is really just she's just kind of like a debuff spammer, and debuffs are unreliable by themselves, plus the bomb changes got reverted, so her damage got a bit lowered. Plus they also reverted the attack boost that people get. So a little bit rough for her, but she is kind of fun to play in Guild War, which is where I mainly use her. But nothing super good. Hamid, just an opener, but there's so many better openers than her. And then Ocean Breeze Luluka is a cleanser, but cleansers in general are in a pretty rough spot, and she is on the lower end of the cleansers. These units down here just kind of all suck. Definitely not worth getting from a selector, I would say. The only real usage is like Cerise is used in Light Expedition. That's about it. It's really just if you want to make your Light Expedition a bit more consistent, then you can use her. But you're using a limited selector, so it feels a bit bad. It's only if you really own like every single unit already, and you somehow don't have Cerise. Leith, you can use her sometimes in Guild War and Arena. She's just not like super good. Kind of just like a really niche pick, so not really worth considering. Biblis only exists for Nightmare Queen auto, which I gave my thoughts on earlier, but I think autoing is not very important, and Nightmare Queen is very easy to kill on manual, so not really worth the consideration. And then these two are so bad I won't even talk about them. Then for the artifacts that we haven't talked about yet, there's Fairy Tale of a Nightmare. This artifact is used on some mages that can spam AoE extra attacks. Stuff like mainly Solitaria. Some people use it on Harsetti, but it's just a pretty nice artifact to have, just with its strip and extra damage effect. Hostess of Banquet goes on Ephra's stacking thieves, which is incredibly specific and pretty niche. There's not really too many units that use this, but it is unique in its archetype. Some people use it on MLK-Ron, for example, if you're doing the Arena/Guild War full damage with Ephra's variant. I've seen some people use it on ML Celine, though I think she has better artifacts. And then there is Star of a Deep Sea, who I mentioned is good on Summertime Assyria. It is also good on Navy Captain. Not Navy Captain, what is it? Pirate Flan. Wrong one. Pirate Flan. So if you're a big Pirate Flan enjoyer, you might want to consider picking this up. Though, again, it's down here for a reason. It's definitely higher prior. Like, if you pick SSB, don't pick this. Definitely get Drink. Prayer of Solitude goes on very specific thing as well. It's HP Bruiser Warriors that have an extra attack, which is not that many. Like, besides Leith, who this artifact goes with, there's also Alencia, but Alencia is like not super good of a unit, so it's a little bit down here. Plus, she can work with some alternatives, even though this is her best one. Champion's Trophy gives effectiveness and a chance to stun on S1. It's a potential option on some units. These artifacts are just bad. Not gonna bother talking about them. Anyways, that is just the quick update on the limited selectors after the balance patch has settled a little bit. And speaking of balance patches, there is also the next balance patch, which is happening on June 5th, though we get the notes for that 2 weeks in advance. So we should be seeing that about near the end of week 6. If that's something you want to consider, if you have a lot of these units already, you might want to consider waiting and seeing what's going to be in the next balance patch. Maybe Midnight Gaul Lilius gets the buff that she finally deserves. That's it for this video though, and I'll see you guys next time.